Objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to explain issue of consumer rights, discuss unequal situations in a market, describe poor enforcement of rules and regulations, analyze consumer protection councils, enlist consumer organizations, describe consumer court. The consumer in the marketplace. In the market, the participation of people is seen both as producers and consumers. People who sell their goods and provide services to the needy ones are called producers. Producers provide services in different economic sectors. For example, agriculture sector or primary sector, secondary sector or manufacturing sector, service sector or tertiary sector. The person who purchases goods and services according to his or her needs is called a consumer. Producers exploit the consumers in the marketplace in various ways. The different forms of consumer exploitation are less weight, defective goods, provide poor services, impure quality of products or goods, high prices, duplicate articles, false or incomplete information, adulteration, lack of safety devices, unsatisfactory after-sales service. So there is a need for rules and regulations to ensure protection for consumers. Consumer movement. Consumer movement is basically a social force which originated with the necessity of understanding and promoting the interest of consumers against unethical and unfair trade practices. Consumer movement can be more effective only with the consumers' active involvement. It requires voluntary effort and struggle involving the participation of one and all. When the consumers are dissatisfied with unfair rule and regulation for purchasing goods and services, then the consumer movement arises. During 1960, rampant food shortages, hoarding, black marketing, adulteration of food and edible oil gave birth to the consumer movement in an organized form in India. This organization receives financial support from the government for creating awareness among the people. Till the 1970s, consumer organizations formed consumer groups with increasing number of consumer organization. This group found to look into the malpractices in ration shops and overcrowding in the road passenger transport. Guidelines are a tool for nations to adopt measures to protect consumers. In 1985, United Nations published some guidelines for consumer protection. Consumer Protection Act was introduced by the Indian government in 1986. Popularly known as COPRA, it has led to the setting up of a separate department of consumer affairs and state governments. Consumer rights. Safety is everyone's right. Right to safety means right to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. The purchased goods and services availed of should not only meet their immediate needs but also fulfill long-term interests. Before purchasing, consumers should insist on the quality of the products as well as on the guarantee of the products and services. The consumers should purchase quality marked products such as ISI, egg mark, etc. Information about goods and services. Information about goods and services means right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, and price of goods so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. Consumers should insist on getting all the information about the product or service before making a choice or a decision. This will enable him to act wisely and responsibly and also enable him to desist from falling prey to high pressure selling techniques. Right to Information Act. Right to information is a fundamental right of any citizen of India to know what is happening with the government. Every individual has the freedom to seek any government related information through this RTI Act 2005. The Right to Information Act 2005 is one of the key legislation enacted by the Parliament in October 2005, which guarantees the right and freedom of every citizen of India to get the information related to our government dealings, both at center and the states. When choice is denied, when a consumer is not satisfied with purchasing of a particular goods and services, then he or she have right to deny the choice. Where should consumers go to get justice? When the rights of a consumers are denied, he or she may get justice by filing a case with the consumer court. Consumers have a right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices and exploitations. If any damage is done to a consumer, he has the right to get compensation according to the degree of damage. In India, a three-tier quasi-judicial machinery at the district, state, and national levels was set up. District level court up to 20 lakhs, state level court up to 20 lakhs to 1 crore, national level court above 1 crore, learning, earning to become well-informed consumer. For well-informed the consumer about their rights, Consumer Protection Act has led to the setting up of separate departments of consumer affairs in central and state governments. Taking the consumer movement forward. On 24th December 1986, the Indian Parliament enacted the Consumer Protection Act. After 1986, the National Consumers' Day is celebrated on 24th December every year. According to the Consumer Protection Act, consumer dispute is defined as a dispute in which the person against whom a complaint has been made denies or disputes the allegations cast on him in the complaint. It provides consumers with speedy and inexpensive redressal grievances mechanism and specific relief or award of compensation. It recognizes 6 of the 8 rights of the consumer as provided in the UN Charter. It envisages following rights of consumers: right to protection, right to information, right of choice, right of hearing, right of redressal, right of education. There are 20 to 25 are well-organized and recognized consumer groups in India out of 200 consumer groups. Standard certification. A few organizations that provide certification of standardization in India are BIS and ISI, EggMark, Hallmark. ISI mark. It is a standardization mark issued by the Bureau of Indian Standards, that is BIS, to certify that the products conform to the minimum quality standards. Hallmark. Hallmark are official marks used in many countries as a guarantee of purity or finesses of precious metal articles. In India, at present, two precious metals, namely gold and silver, have been brought under the purview of hallmarking. However, in the hallmarking of gold and silver items, one should look for BIS mark that mentions fineness mark, year of marking, and jeweler's mark, egg mark. It is a certification mark on agricultural products in India, assuring that they conform to a set of standards approved by the Directorate of Marketing and Inspection, an agency of the Government of India. ISO certification. ISO means International Organization for Standardization, which has its headquarters at Geneva, which was established in 1947. It is the standardization. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. People participate in the market both as a producers and consumers. As a producer, they sell their goods and provide services to the needy people. Consumers are exploited in the marketplace by the producers in various ways. In informal sector, borrowers are exploited by the moneylenders. People borrow money from moneylenders at high rate of interest and also forced by the moneylenders to pay the loan timely. In unorganized sector, people have to work at a low wage, which is not fair. When the consumers are dissatisfied with unfair rule and regulation for purchasing of goods and services, then the consumer movement is arisen. During 1960, rampant food shortages, hoarding, black marketing, adulteration of food, and edible oil gave birth to the consumer movement in an organized form in India.